All right, so another movie that only I got to check out. This one kind of obsessed me, man. Hurts me a little bit. Is Slight,
Mm.
the new motion picture starring, excuse me, Dule Hill and I had the brother's first name. I want to say Johnny Lattimore.
To Kenny
Um,
Lattimore? What?
no, not Kenny Lattimore, not the singer. I'll look it up and I'll have that in a second. But it's the new motion picture. Now the advertising pushed heavily that it's by the makers, the people who brought you Get Out, and people automatically think, "Whoa, wait, so Jordan Peele wrote
Yeah.
this?" No, Jordan Peele did not write this. This is from the production house that brought Get Out. But at the very least, it does have some of that connection, and you see that in the fact that this movie has black people.
That's what
Yeah,
I figured.
yeah, that's their push, man. But this is a very different movie from Get Out. What it actually comes down to is this is a movie about Bo. Bo is a young man who is very likable and he's got certain abilities. And by abilities, he's very smart. He's a good engineer. And he's also a street musician. So he does tricks outside of coffee houses, on street corners, just for random people, puts out the hat, gets money. That's how he supports him, and that's how he supports himself and his little sister. They live in a house, just in the hood, but like the lowest low areas of the hood, because this is where he gets his money, most of his money. The rest of his money he gets from dealing drugs. And this part was left out of the advertising, and I think it's actually a major part of who he is as a person, because we see this is a story about a dude who basically gets by in life by selling drugs here and there, and he's kept it very simple. He stays out of the hardcore crime life. He sells
Yeah,
drugs on the side. He
it's
keeps his
business.
sister. Yeah, exactly. His sister has no idea what he actually does. He keeps her out of the life and relatively
Good.
safe. Sends her to school, all types of stuff, and he's just trying to make enough money to get out the hood. That in itself is a very stereotypical plot. Where it gets not stereotypical is this dude is selling to high end people. He's selling to the rich millennials that would go to Friar Fest,
Yeah.
and he's really just working towards a goal so he can get his sister out to a safer area. And he's working for Dule Hill. Dule Hill is an actor who we know as Gus from Psych. We really like Gus from Psych. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
We like
he's
this
great.
dude. He's nice. He's funny. He's kind of corny. That's how most people
He's safe
pursue.
black guy.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
He's a very safe black guy. Most people perceive him from Psych. I remember Dule Hill, however, from this movie where I first saw him. He was some gang member trying to mug William H Macy, and then after mugging him, he gets hurt somehow. Macy comes up on him and gets his revenge. And I'm like, okay, all right, cool, go ahead, get yours, H Macy. And then starts calling all types of niggas, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, where did that come from? Seriously, we liked you for a minute.
Yeah.
So that's where I know Dule Hill. Dule Hill has played those harder roles.
Mhm.
So this wasn't as much of a surprise, but I like the fact that they took a guy with that clean, like cookie cutter image, made him likable, and then at that twist, I hope y'all supposed to hear this. He becomes that angry gangster drug dealer, drug kingpin that you'd expect. And it's a surprise because for most of this movie, you're liking it.
Mhm.
That's the basic premise of this movie. That's not, they're on a road trip to somewhere or they're trying to do this. No, it's just you have Bo. He's a street performer and a drug dealer. He's trying to make enough money to get out the hood. And that's it. A girl slips him her number. She likes him. They start a relationship. And then it just progresses from there where it's like she's a struggling student. He's a struggling street musician.
Oh.
Okay, she's a struggling student being abused. He's a drug dealer. What's going on here? And then everything goes straight to hell for both of them. I won't say how because that's getting the spoilers, but that's where the movie gets a little more interesting. Before then, it would be pretty boring if these characters weren't so likable. It's like on scenes with dude doing those tricks. It's kind of but he's doing some cool tricks. All right, cool, and he's charismatic. We like him. All right, solid. And then she works a boring job and stuff, but she's really quirky and stuff, and she's fun to watch. They have good chemistry. And then you meet Dule Hill, and it's like, okay, this drug kingpin, he's a nice little guy. He's hooking his boy up and things. They have each other's backs. And then Bo's customers are people like Cameron Esposito. These like comedians in dramatic roles. I'm like, oh, this is where it's gonna start to suck. But no, I believe all of them, and I'm just having a good ass time. But I'm like, this isn't a movie. I'm just out with friends on Saturday night. What's going
Yeah,
on?
right.
Yeah. And then some stuff goes down, and then it becomes the superpower movie. I think this was very improperly marketed as, it's a black superhero movie. You're going to have some powers left and right. It's going to be amazing. The Avengers with a Negro.
Oh,
Pretty much.
Was anyone wearing spandex in it or?
There was none of that. This movie kept within realistic bounds. And I acknowledge realistic bound for what you're talking about, but
Right,
it's very
right.
interesting. It takes a while to get there. That's like the main beef I have with the movie. It takes
Okay.
a while to get to the really interesting, quirky stuff. Everything I just described, that would be fine if this was just a movie on TV. You know, it's a
Right.
Saturday, maybe it's rained in. I got nowhere to go. I'm just gonna throw this on. It's all good. Watch it for a couple
It's like
hours.
hanging with
kill
your
some time.
friends.
Exactly. It's just a fun way to kill time versus I could watch Groundhog Day for the 9600th time.
Yeah, right.
You know, but when it gets to the interesting point, suddenly sister goes missing. Okay, now we got to get in some stuff. What's going on? Who do we have to kill? You know, and then stuff starts getting real for Bo. You know, it's no longer, my drug dealer's a cool guy. We're just my drug supplier's a cool guy. We're hanging out. No, now it's time. Yo, some dudes in our territory. We got to do some real stuff. Yo, hold this dude down. We're chopping off limbs.
So he's
You know, we
Breaking
taking
Bad.
shots out. Yes, and it was beautiful when that happened because it's such like a 180.
Oh yeah.
Everyone was really likable until stuff got real, and then suddenly, nah, man, you do this, or you're next. You know, it's like, whoa, you know, stuff got real. And Dule Hill, I'm very impressed with his acting because we know him as a likable guy. I even mentioned when I saw him playing the gangster, he was a little hardcore. This was like he was scary, you know, and it takes a lot for someone to go from like that really likable guy to being scary, and especially when you know what he does in this movie and you still like him, and then you don't. Like, that's a good twist. That was solid acting. I definitely have to call that out. Besides that, I mean, I mentioned earlier before the show how I was impressed with comedians doing solid work in drama. You know, so the movie's called Slight. It's out right now. I can't really call it anything else because there wasn't much to this movie. It's a very small production, which is something I do have to appreciate because they did a lot story-wise with not a lot location-wise or even budget-wise. This was a very small movie. Small in the terms of, we mentioned Chronicle earlier. When the kids get powers in Chronicle, it's still kept within, it's basically shot by hand camera. You know, they use realistic locations you could go to on a weekend because it's supposed to be, these are real people who got involved in stuff. Well, in this situation, this is a real kid who was just trying to live a normal life doing some slightly illicit stuff, but stuff you got to do to survive in the hood. And they made it into a serious movie. When the powers came out, it was kind of a fake out to say it's a superhuman movie. It's a superpower movie, superhero movie, because it's not. It's just a dude who could do some extra stuff using what he could do. But that part was also dope because it was just like anytime you've been in that situation, it was the most satisfying culmination to a hood movie ever.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely. If I ever gotten some stuff, or back when I was in a position to get into some stuff, that's how I would have wanted to get out of it. And this dude just with some. Anyways, the movie's called Slight, starring Dule Hill and some other people. Why can't I see this dude's name? Directed by J.D. Dillard. Way off. Directed by J.D. Dillard. Dude, the movie was cool. Slight, check it out. And don't pronounce it Slate. I made that mistake at one point. All right, now, one